here in Sandton of Johannesburg. And as you might be aware by now, we came here for the burial of our late former Republican President, Dr. Edgar Chagwa, which was scheduled to take place yesterday, but it was unable to proceed. Countrymen and women, today actually marks 21 days since our former late Republican president passed on, and yet he still remains unburied. There were two opportunities which we, the people that loved and cherished Dr. Edgar Chagwa had to bury him and put him to rest. The first opportunity was when the family of the late former president reached an agreement with the government of Zambia to repatriate his body to Lusaka for his burial. Before that agreement could be honored, the government of the Republic of Zambia decided to abrogate and violate it. That led to the cancellation of that agreement and the decision by the family to bury the late Dr. Edgar Chagwa here in Johannesburg. Subsequent to that, we saw that after the burial date had been scheduled, on the last minute, the government of the Republic of Zambia decided to file in a court suit and obtain a court injunction to prevent that burial from proceeding yesterday. Countrymen and women, we can clearly see that both opportunities that the country had and the family had, and those of us who loved Dr. Edgar Chagwa had to put him to rest, were undermined by the government of the Republic of Zambia. Firstly, by violating the agreement with the family, and secondly, by approaching the Johannesburg High Court in Pretoria and obtaining an injunction which prevented the funeral from proceeding. Countrymen and women, this prolonged mourning period for the late Dr. Edgar Chagwa is a source of continued pain for the family and for those of us who loved and cherished Dr. Edgar Chagwa. We all know that in our tradition, a funeral is supposed to take a prescribed period of time, and that for as long as the deceased is unburied, the funeral will continue to be prolonged, and those who are grieving are not going to have reprieve. The pain will continue on those who are grieving. This prolonged mourning period, countrymen and women, is a punishment, a big punishment on the family. It's a big punishment on those of us who loved and cherished Dr. Edgar Chagwa. The question that remains to be answered is, are there fundamental reasons? Are there fundamental disagreements between government and the family? Is there any request or demand by the family which is unreasonable? And the answer to that question is a definite no. The demands of the family are merely an expression of the wishes of the late Dr. Edgar Chagwa. The family is merely trying to ensure that the last dying wishes of our beloved president are honored. That is all the family is insisting on. The question is, why can't government respect the wishes of the family? That has remained the question which has to be answered by government itself. and which has not been answered by government up to now. Fellow countrymen and women, we have seen that this latest cancellation of the burial of the late Dr. Edgar Chagwalungu through a court injunction is something that came on the 11th hour. The family of the late Dr. Edgar Chagwalungu made a public announcement on Thursday of last week about their decision to bury in South Africa. The question is, why didn't the government approach the courts at that particular time? Why did the government wait for the people to travel all the way to South Africa, for a church service to be organized, for the family and the widow to prepare themselves to put to rest Dr. Edgar Chagwalungu before they decided to file an injunction at the last minute? Why did they do that? Because as things stand, and in terms of the bereaving, or rather the mourning of the family, when we finally put Dr. Edgar Chagwalungu to rest, it will be like we are having a second funeral for the late Dr. Edgar Chagwalungu. So it will be a source of even greater pain for the family and for ourselves who loved and cherished Dr. Edgar Chagwalungu. Our question to the government is simple. Was their decision to get an injunction at the very last minute designed to inflict maximum pain on us and the family, or it was a coincidence? That is our question to the government. Was it designed to inflict maximum pain on us as well as maximum financial expenses, whereby more than 1,000 people traveled from Zambia to South Africa to mourn Dr. Edgar Chagwalungu, only for them to go back without mourning Dr. Edgar Chagwalungu? Was that designed? If it was designed, then my appeal to the government of the Republic of Zambia is that please have sympathy. Have sympathy for us who are mourning. Have sympathy for the family. We understand and appreciate that you are trying to do politics over this funeral. We have seen the behavior of those social media pages which are affiliated to the government. Pages such as Causeway, Zambia Watchdog, and so on and so forth. We've seen that you are mocking us. We've seen that you are mocking how we are crying. We've seen that you are mocking even the late Dr. Edgar Chagwalungu. And we've seen that these media pages are immune to any intervention by the authorities. They are immune from ZICTA. They are immune from the cybersecurity laws. They are immune on anything. They can insult us at their own whim. They can disparage us. They can disparage even the late Dr. Edgar Chagwalungu. We've seen that. And you, the government, have tolerated that. Our request to you is please have sympathy on us who are mourning. Have sympathy on us who are mourning. We are mourning because we loved Dr. Edgar Chagwalungu. We are not mourning because of any other reason, no. We are mourning because we loved the late former president of the Republic of Zambia. If you did not love him, that is well and good. But let us mourn, allow us to mourn in peace, without insulting us, without disparaging us. That is our humble request to you, and it is our hope and wish that you are going to grant us that particular request. At this point, I'll hand over to the acting chairman of the TONSE Alliance, who is also the acting president of the Patriotic Front. But before I do that, I wish to provide clarification regarding the area disruption. We had inadvertently used a meeting room which was scheduled to be occupied by other people, and therefore the hotel security came in to advise us to use the other meeting room which we are using now, and the hotel security did not know that we were streaming live. That is why we disrupted the area streaming, and we apologize to our viewers for that. Honorable President.
Thank you. My fellow countrymen and women, the demise of President Edgar Chagwa Lungu has been followed by a lot of extraordinary events. And for us who knew President Edgar Chagwa Lungu, we are not surprised by these extraordinary events. President Lungu himself was a very extraordinary life. He was a very extraordinary man, and naturally, even his demise must be extraordinary. Extraordinary to the extent that even senior government officials are now hiding the truth in trying to argue the matters concerning the demise of President Edgar Lungu. Not too long ago, we heard President Hakainde Hichilema addressing civil society organizations where he was trying to justify that even if President Edgar Chagwa Lungu's benefits had been withdrawn from him, he still had to be buried back home. And he said the two other former presidents who died after they left State House, they were buried at Embassy Park, even if their immunity had been stripped of them. That is far from the truth. Very far from the truth. President Hakainde, let me remind you that yes, President RB's immunity had been removed, but surely not Kenneth Kaunda's immunity. Kenneth Kaunda had his full immunity in place. He was arrested for an act that is alleged to have been committed long after he left State House. And therefore, that arrest did not require removal of his immunity at all. Kenneth David Kaunda cannot be compared to Edgar Chagwa Lungu. Kenneth Kaunda died with the immunity of president. President Edgar Chagwa Lungu unfortunately died after his benefits were withdrawn. Secondly, there was an interview granted by Attorney General Kabesha Mulilo yesterday where the journalist asked a very important question, a question of public policy nature. How much money are the taxpayers of Zambia going to spend pursuing this court process that you have initiated in South Africa? The answer that was given by Kabesha Mulilo leaves a lot to be desired of a government official of that senior position when he said he didn't know. He is not an accountant. Any person who has gone through any court litigation knows that the moment you approach a lawyer, the lawyer will tell you the cost. Actually, you even have to deposit money. And it is only fair for you, Kabesha Mulilo, to tell the Zambian people the truth. It is not pocket change you're using. It is taxpayers' money. And taxpayers must be told so that they can see whether it is justified for you to use their money and what kind of money it is, how much it is, pursuing this matter that you're pursuing. It is in their interest. So please, Kabesha Mulilo, can you tell the Zambian people how much you paid the South African lawyers and how much you anticipate to pay? Because you must have budgeted for this. Please tell the truth. Nonetheless, I want to assure you, my fellow countrymen and women, that we who are gathered here in Sandton, who came to put to rest the remains of our dear departed president, are not despondent at all. No, make no mistake. We are leaving Johannesburg with a spirit of unity. the spirit of Edgar Chagwa Lungu is unifying us more than ever before. And we're coming back home to ensure that we unify all the opposition political parties. This is exactly what our dear departed president died for. He died in the pursuit of democracy. And we should not elude ourselves, and we must not allow anyone to stop us in pursuing the journey that was set for us by Edgar Chagwa Lungu. Second point, mourning Edgar Chagwa Lungu shall never stop. No, we will never stop mourning him. We shall mourn him forever. But during this period that we're going to wait for the court process in Pretoria, we are determined to continue to have public mourning. We are going to engage ourselves in memorial services until that day that God permits that the remains of President Edgar Chagwa Lungu are interred. We will not be stopped by anyone. When that day comes, when God permits that the mortal remains of that extraordinary man must be put in safe custody, we shall turn out in more numbers than the ones that turned out now. Yes. Indeed, people borrowed, people sold properties for them to come to attend the burial that never was. However, now we have more time to prepare even more. Yes. Wherever the burial will take place, there we shall be in multitudes to come and send off our dear departed president. What remains of me is to thank all those people who spent their resources, who invested their time, their effort to travel by different means, some by air, some by bus, some in their own private vehicles. I want to thank them most sincerely for coming out here to come and witness the burial that never was. Thank you for supporting us, and thank you especially for supporting the family. I would also like to thank King the Christ Cathedral here in Johannesburg, the Archbishop of Johannesburg, and the Archbishop of the Cosmopolitan Archdiocese of Lusaka, His Grace Dr. Alik Banda. I want to thank them most sincerely for accepting to have a mass in honor of President Edgar Chagwa Lungu, even in the absence of his mortal remains. Thank you very much, Church. You did the family great service. You did us great service. And we pray that you continue to pray for the peaceful repose of our dear departed president, and to pray for the Lungu family. People can just imagine how the Lungu family is feeling to have their mourning period extended several times. Even after the head of state of Zambia actually said, I am suspending the mourning period because I want to return to normalcy. And yet for the poor family, normalcy is not to be seen. Instead, it's being extended. Extended because of that court process. I beseech all of you, my fellow countrymen and women, keep at least the family of Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu in your prayers. I'd also like to thank the people of South Africa. First, thank you for accepting that Dr. Edgar Chagwa be hospitalized here in South Africa. And also thank you for accepting that his mortal remains be stored here in South Africa. I'm saying stored because for us in the party, we did not at any time anticipate that there will be a burial of Edgar Chagwa in South Africa. For us in TONSE Alliance, this was only a storage, because we are determined that one day in the future, the mortal remains of Edgar Chagwa shall be buried where it ought to be buried, back home in Zambia. And that day shall certainly come. And we'll wait for that day. So we want to thank the South Africans for allowing that their country be used for the storage of the mortal remains of Edgar Lungu. Let me also thank all the Zambians, all of you. Thank you. I know that there are some who are mocking, some who are celebrating. All we can do for you is to pray to God that the Spirit of our Lord touches you, so that rather than mocking, you may join us in either celebrating the life or mourning the loss. He was indeed an extraordinary man, and extraordinary events shall occur before he is finally given up to his Father in heaven. On another note, countrymen and women, allow me to make some reflections on happenings back home, and particularly in Lumezi. All those who have been following events in Lumezi will know that we have only crossed 60 days since the seat of Lumezi was declared vacant. And we heard that the ballot papers that were initially produced were erroneous because they didn't have the full names of the candidate of the United Party for National Development. And now we're surprised that the ECZ had speedily replaced them, and they have not allowed other political parties to verify those ballot papers. And instead they have flown them in and are taking them directly to polling stations, denying us, the TONSE Alliance, an opportunity to verify them. Who is going to ensure that the number of ballot papers that are going to be used is the correct number? What measures are being put in place to ensure that these elections are free, fair, and devoid of any manipulation? One of the most important provisions in the Electoral Process Act is that all players must verify the ballot papers before they are delivered to the polling districts. And yet in this particular case, Mwangala Zalomis and her team have decided that they alone are the ones to verify them, and that they dispatch them without the knowledge of other participants. This is a source of worry, and I hope it is also a source of worry for all of you Zambians who hope that Zambia shall be ruled by people who are elected by the people and not selected by the government. I'd like to make this clarion call. If you're going to start now with a by-election, one by-election, what will stop you in the general election? And citizens, if we're going to sit back and watch and think this is only one by-election, remember that mountains come out of hills, and things of this nature grow. We allow it now, there will be no way of us stopping it then. We ought to ensure that the Electoral Commission of Zambia does what is provided for in the law. We will not pull out of that election, but I want to instead inform the citizens that we are taking part in that election today, and our people are voting today under protest. And if the intention was to manipulate that vote, remember Petauke. For all of those who are voting in Lumezi, stand fast. Go and cast your vote, and cast your vote on the TONSE alliance candidate. Ensure that the manipulation, the mingalato they are trying to play is overridden by the large turnout of people who are voting for the TONSE alliance. Allow me to also pray for the safe travels of all my brothers and sisters who are still in South Africa and those who have started their journeys back home. As we travel, let us carry the love of Edgar Chagwa Lungu. I thank you.
I heard it right at the bottom. But you were in, your voice was broken. I said, so it rises again.
So that there's a distinction between the subjects. Yeah, that was good.
Well done. Yes.